launching a tasty pastry. It's a low-carb Pop-Tart. It's got 3 to 4 grams of net carbs, and we love this show. This is our best place to be in LA.
Welcome back to Legendary Foods Muscle in the Morning. I'm Dave Palumbo, and today is Thursday, November 3rd, 2022. And let's find out what's going on in the world of bodybuilding and fitness. One of the things I've come to realize over the years is that just because someone isn't competing doesn't mean they're not competitive, because all of that energy eventually needs to find some sort of outlet. And for Foda, apparently that means trying to go set for set and rep for rep with Hadi Choopan as he gets himself ready to make another run at winning a world title. I know there was some disappointment floating around out there after Mo announced that he was shutting down his plans to compete in 2022 after dealing with a variety of issues. But in the long run, it might end up being the best thing for him, because being able to train with guys at Hadi Choopan's level during your off season is a great way to make sure you're not becoming complacent. Mo's got a ton of talent and a very high ceiling, so if he can keep that competitive fire stoked, hopefully we'll see him bounce back stronger than ever for his 2023 campaign. Maybe it's just me, because I could be wrong about this, but for some reason it just doesn't feel like we're hearing as much buzz for Hadi Choopan as a top-tier title contender right now as we had in the past. He's finished 3rd, 4th, and 3rd over the course of the last 3 years, which means that we can't say that he's been slipping or he's been on the back end of his prime, because he hasn't shown any signs of slowing down. And if anything, he's probably ramped up the intensity of his training up more than we've ever seen in recent years. And that's not something you typically see from someone who's on the downturn either. So it's even more confusing why we aren't hearing his name in the same breath as guys like William Bonac and Brandon Curry or even Hunter Labrada, as someone who could push Big Ramy for everything that he's got this year. Every NFL season is different in the sense that there are always a handful of teams who end up surprising everyone by outperforming their preseason expectations. But it usually takes until about the midpoint of the year until people are finally ready to recognize that they're for real. And on a smaller level, we see that happen all the time in bodybuilding as well, especially when we're heading into a big show like the Olympia. And this is the place where guys like Shaaban can start to really be very dangerous. Because we tend to overpopulate the top 10 with the same guys in our mind year after year, and it creates this blind spot that keeps us from seeing guys like Mo who are coming on like a freight train. And then all of a sudden we're surprised when we see someone free fall down the scorecard. We see this happen every year in the NFL as some teams go from worst to the best in their division. And we also see it enough in bodybuilding that we probably are trying to account for it before we start making predictions. Because if someone like Mo can slip into that blind spot, it's going to be trouble for a lot of people, because that means some dominoes are going to fall. Have you ever gone to a restaurant and saw one of those under new management signs and thought to yourself, there's no way the food can be as good now as it used to be? Because if you haven't, then you probably need to get out more. And if you have, then you already know that sometimes new ownership will add a few things to the menu that are so good that it makes you forget about your old favorites. And even though it's still early in Chris Bumstead's run under new management, at the moment, it's looking like he's still on track to bring plenty of heat to the table for his 3rd straight title defense. Even though he's been visible all throughout his prep, it's been a while since we've gotten one of those behind-the-scenes check-in videos. So the fact that he looks as good as he ever has probably goes a long way towards quieting some of the concerns that we heard right after he and Ian split. For all intents and purposes, he's been like the bodybuilding equivalent of a 3-star Michelin restaurant his entire title run. So even if this is just the appetizer, he isn't giving you any reason to doubt that the main course will be anything less than world class, just like it always has been. And that does it for yet another edition of Muscle in the Morning. I'm Dave Palumbo, reminding you to always be true to your passions. And make sure to follow us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram.